Hello. Guess who's back? Hello, hello. Cool, cool, cool. Did you guys miss me? Power drink for everybody. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. All right. So let's get into it. Good evening. Welcome. Actually, I'm gonna give everybody about a minute. Sorry, my bad. I rushed it. There's a lot of stuff to cover today. All right. I'm gonna give everybody just about another minute, and then we will hop into it. Right. I have seen your messages about being able to see me and hear me and the presentation. Perfect. All righty. There we go. All right. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Good to be back. All right. All right, here we go. Good evening, guys. Welcome. Give me just a second. Just a second, guys. Sorry, one moment. Hey guys, sorry. I've got a little bit of a situation. Just give me a couple minutes. Sorry. All right, sorry about that, guys. I just got a message from the IRS. So that's not good. Yeah. So I wasn't trying to blow you guys off. Actually, no, but in any case, let's hop into it. Righty. Let's see here. Wow, that's a lot of messages. All right, welcome, guys. Once again, let's get started. Hope everyone's doing well. I didn't get a call from the IRS. My CPA did. All right, let's get into it. Give me a moment. Yeah, guys, I'm not an idiot. IRS didn't call me. My CPA is on the phone with the IRS. All righty. So first things first, we have got a lot to cover today. All right. Obviously, there were some questions, some issues, some confusion. So we are going to spend about at least 30 minutes. Actually, not at least, sorry. I'm going to spend about 30 minutes trying to clear up your guys' confusion. Okay. So that's number one. I see your questions. And first thing, I'm going to go through those list of questions before you guys start asking me questions in the chat. All right. So let me go through those questions in the thread like I asked, and then we can kind of go forward from there. Before we get started, there's a couple of things we need to discuss, right? Number one, the smoke test. Okay. A smoke test happens when you get a new version of your application, your website, your whatever, your software. Okay. And the whole purpose of the smoke test is to make sure that the main, basic, most necessary part of your application is working in a simple way, right? What does that mean? Can you, for example, for humans, can you do a search? Can you create a job? Can you create a profile? Can you open up a map location, which you cannot, right? So those major parts of the application, that's what needs to be tested. Okay, that's what a smoke test is about. In those videos that you guys watched, I had COVID. So that's one thing about those videos that was funny to me as I watched them back myself. So secondly, when you are doing the smoke test, right, your job, you're not trying to break the application. You're not trying to do any kind of damage. You are literally trying to just make sure that when you go to humans.net, when you click search, when you try to create a profile, that it doesn't blow up. Okay. Now, if one of those main things doesn't work, right? One of those main features has a problem. It's a bug, obviously. Anytime something doesn't work, it's a bug, duh, right? But at the same time as well, you need to file that bug, and that build needs to be kicked back to the developers. Okay. They need to recheck and get back to you, right? They need to recheck what the problem is again, because if the main functionality isn't working in the application, then there is a major problem. Okay, so that's one. Secondly, if a smoke test suite fails, what happens, right? That was the first question I see. You don't need. So one other thing you guys need to remember, and I'm going to say the statement, I want you to really pay attention to what I'm saying, and when I do, watch, just the light bulb's going to go up. We write test cases to pass. Test cases are written in a manner where they are supposed to pass. We write bugs when those test cases fail. Breathe, think that again, what I just said to you, right? Test cases are written with the intention of passing. They are supposed to pass. You're writing a scenario on what the expected result is. That is what a test case is, right? Now, anytime that expected result is not met, obviously it's a failure. Now, can there be moments where the failure could be because of you, because you wrote an invalid test case? Absolutely, right? Could it be because majority of the time, is it going to be because something is actually wrong? Yes. Okay, so it's not just like if your test case is written, it's, in stone. Test cases can be changed. They can be updated. They can be, out of date, right? we need to go back and make sure all of our stuff is tight and secure in the fact that it's meets the requirements. Okay. All right. So that is that. So yeah, that should clarify a little bit of something about writing test cases for you guys. Okay. So the second thing is about and I'm going to talk about a specific scenario. There is a situation with no, you write your own test cases, and everybody on the team writes their own test cases. So the question is, I thought someone else writes a test case and we test it. No, we write the test case. Everybody writes their own test cases, and then everybody tests their own test cases and sometimes each other's test cases. That is why we need our test cases to be so well written, so clear, so concise, so precise, using certain formatting that we do, right? That's why we do it. Developers give us the guide on what to test. No, right? Developers are using the same set of requirements that we've got, right? So far, you guys haven't had real requirements yet, right? Yes. So remember, like, again, going back to the webinar on whatever that first time that you guys ever actually saw me. There's two major things we do: test cases and bugs, right? That is the main function of ours. So it's testing, and documentation is so important for us. All right. So the next part, hold on to your questions, right? The next part of this is you guys came up against a situation where the map functionality as part of your smoke test, or location functionality as part of your smoke test didn't work, right? Let me ask you a question. And by the way, you all freaked out, right? Let me ask you a question. What do you expect to happen in a location search? You find a location. You put in an address, you put in a city, you put in a state, and that location is supposed to be found. That is your expected result. Now, the fact that the functionality is broken, it shouldn't cause you so much headache. It shouldn't cause you so much confusion. Because let me break it to you. Breaking news. You are going to run up against applications that are broken all the time and are incomplete, are not completely developed yet. You cannot reach that level of frustration that you just throw your hands up in the air and walk away. It's never going to work like that. Okay. That is a key thing that is not going to work. That's against you in this situation. Okay. So that functionality is okay. So a couple of things happened to you guys. Number one, you didn't have a set requirement on what you expected, if you were told what was supposed to happen, right? So, and the second thing was that it was failing. Now, in that case, well, what do you do? Well, from what I saw in your guys' comments, it was just a shit show, because everybody's like, oh, it doesn't work, and then it's none of this is making sense, and I quit. I walk away. Right? Can't have that. That's not gonna. You have to, again, if you do not have a set of or clearly spelled out requirements, you have to use your inherent understanding of how things are supposed to work, right? How does a location search work? Well, you're supposed to be able to find a location. End of story. Now, if you don't have some sort of, how is a search supposed to work? Let's say, for example, you had the search field there, the search bar, and you had no requirement. Did you have any requirements for the search bar so far on our Humans app? No. But a search's job is to give you back search results according to what you looked for it, right? Simple as that. So there are times where you have to assume these things, right? It is about common sense. That's exactly, right? That is, again, that's not to say that you guys don't have common sense. Some of you don't. I'm just kidding. It's not necessarily about common. It's about understanding, like, look, we know that this is kind of the kind of thing that's supposed to happen, right? So you have to always remember that and kind of integrate that into your thinking and your testing. Okay. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing was with the test cycles. What's the difference between a smoke test suite and a test cycle? A smoke test suite is, you might as well just call it a smoke test cycle, number one. And secondly, a smoke test cycle / suite is just another type of test cycle. It's not that complex. It's not that, I don't know why there was a confusion with that. Again, that's what I'm here for, right? To clear that up. Test cycles and test suites are virtually the same things, right? In Jira, this is one of the things that I don't like about Jira, right? Is a cycle is both a suite, and then when you run a cycle of, when you execute that suite, right? So when you think about it, right, the idea is running a test suite, executing the test cases, that would be considered a test cycle, right? But at the same time, in Jira, that is just the definition of what it is. It's just test cycle. There is no suite and cycle separately. They've put it just like the same thing we did with priority and severity, right? That same thing kind of just came in together, right? So that's the thing. So do you guys understand what the difference between a smoke test cycle and a smoke test suite and a test cycle is or isn't? Good. Perfect. All right. So the next thing is, how do you add your test cases to the test suite? Right now, when you're creating your test cases, you should be able to just add them, right? But let's do this. I have to refresh my memory. So if I'm doing, if I'm messing something up, obviously just work with me, okay? So these are where all your smoke test suites are, right? Come on, man. This is the thing bugs the crap out of me. I can't expand this. Why can't I expand this? There we go. Okay. The smoke test suite, let's say, why did you filter this? Let me see if I can find one of your guys' suites here. All right, so let me just create a new one. All right, let's just make life easy. Oh yeah. I don't think I see any B35 suites in here. Why isn't that? Why am I not seeing B35? Whatever, I'm just gonna create a new one. Okay. I'm obviously unscheduled. B35 example. Blah, 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 whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. You guys know how to do this whole thing, right? Okay. There's no confusion about creating a test cycle. Okay, cool. So I don't have to go through this. All right. So I've got it. B35. Why can't I? That's the thing that bugs the crap out of me about this thing. There we go. Okay, so this is my suite, right? This is my test cycle. Sorry. My bad. All I had to do was just refresh the page. Sometimes it just takes a second to refresh the thing. This is my own profile. Okay. Now, how do you add test cases to your test cycle? You see this kebab right here? That's what you do. You can hit that. You can add tests here, or there is an add test button here. So let me add my tests from here. Now we can use a search filter. Which search filters can we? Remember we created search filters back in our when I showed you guys JQL and everything, right? So let's do this. I'm gonna do my search filter here. I got 4 test cases. It came out. Total test found is 4. I'm gonna click add. All right, test could not be added. Belongs to man. In the ass. Sorry, hold on. Let's do another one. Well, obviously I can't add these. Hold on a second. All right. All right, let's see here. Who do we got? Let me use somebody that didn't execute them. Okay, here we go. Add test. Via search filter. B35. I don't think I saved one. So let me do this. I gotta search for my own test cases. Let me search for my own test cases again. So you go in. I mean, again, I'm doing this as we go. I'm doing this live, right? So reporter equals me. I didn't write any test cases. Oh, I only wrote bugs. Oh crap. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna use one of your guys' test cases. Who am I gonna use? Hamza, I'm gonna use your test cases. All right, don't mind if I do. Okay. And type is test. All right, so you guys see Hamza's test cases are in here. So we're just gonna go in here, refresh this page. I'm going to, again, I don't want to create a whole new one, so I'm just gonna pick a random person. So I'm gonna pick Madhu's for this in this case. Add tests. Select the what numbers are we looking for? 50. In this case, I'm just gonna go with my. So again, you guys will have all these, reported to you. So we're just gonna save these. B35 smoke. I'm just doing this easier, make my life. Yeah, you can always add them in a different suite. All right. So I've got his test cases. I'm gonna assign them to me. All right, and I'm gonna click add. Hopefully this one works. Okay. Now and I added all 8 of his test cases into my suite. Okay. So that was what that's how you add test cases to your test cycle. And then obviously you select them and you execute them, right? Either by pressing this E up here, or you can actually click E on your keyboard sometimes, if it's able to, sometimes it's not, but whatever, just press the button. All right. So does that clarify opening up, adding them? Yeah, you can add them individually. You may have to add them individually, right? But at the same time, you can create a filter for them and just make your own life easier. Bye, Kenna. Bye, Leonid. What I did was I created a search. What do you call it? Damn it! What's the word I'm looking for? Search filter, basically, right? So I just saved this as B35 smoke, right? Up here, you can see B35 smoke. And then when I pull up, when I add tests, or I click here and I add tests, I'll go to via search filter. And I just pop the drop down, just type in B35. So you can see B35 smoke. Cool. Also, the way you can do it is you can do it individually, right? You can type in BQA35-50 or whatever, 510, right? And then add more. I don't know why this isn't working. Usually it pops up. Okay. See, you can just type in 511, right? 512. Like that's how you can do it too, one by one. I don't know why this thing, it doesn't seem to be using the plus sign for some reason. I don't know, strange. Yeah, it could be a bug. Usually it pops up a little queries box, and I don't know why it's not doing that anymore. Maybe just because maybe a version change or something. I don't know. Click add. Yeah, you click add, and they're added in there. Okay. No. All right, so that they're added in there, I am not going to fix them. I'm not fixing nothing. So again, if you wanted to remove them, you just hit delete, and they get deleted out of your test cycle. Okay, again, this just requires a little bit of practice getting in there, getting your hands dirty. That's all there is to it. I only use it, again, I just use Madus because it was one that was there. Okay. There's no particular reason why I used her test suite. It was just one that I saw that didn't have any test results in there. I don't want to create a new one. Okay. No, they don't get deleted completely. They just get deleted from your test cycle, your test suite. Cool. All right. So that was that. Oh, here it is. The whole time I've been clicking plus, it's been opening up on my other screen. What a doofus. All right. So that's again. So in this case, if you want to select, again, I can't do it right now, but if you want to select multiple issues at the same time, you hit this button, you use the check boxes, you hit select issues, and it'll pick up however many you want. I was getting all annoyed with the Jira, and the whole time was my own fault. What a fool. All right. Okay, so that was that. Were we allowed to make test cases on any functions? No. So your guys' homework was writing a smoke test suite. Now you guys saw that little grid, right? With the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that test plan. Each of those was a test case, right? By the way, I don't know why there's confusion about this as well. This is Zephyr. Zephyr is when you create a test case, when you select a test case type, this is Zephyr right here. That's all it is. Yeah. Okay, so that's Zephyr. That is all it is to it. Again, the thing with this, the reason why it's mentioned to you guys is the fact that this costs extra on our side, right? This is not part of a regular Jira setup. So it's an add-on. Yes. All right. Again, if you don't see it for whatever reason, make sure all these are checked. Sometimes you'll see that the Zephyr test step is not checked. So that might be the reason why you may not see it. Okay. All right. Where is Zephyr, or where in Zephyr do you put the actual results? In the result field? In the expected result row column? Right? That's where your expected result goes. Again, you guys have focusing on the wrong thing. You guys shouldn't, if you have unless you have a question about as far as how to use Zephyr, that's different. Don't worry about who pays for what, who has it. If you're working on test cases, you will have Zephyr. All right. One sec. Okay. What should we put in the test data? Now, so far, you guys have only been shown how to write smoke test cases, right? Today, we're going to formalize it even further into regression test cases, and these are going to be the best test cases. And honestly, the way you're going to learn these test cases, you're going to want to write all your test cases like this. Trust me. Once I figured it out, I started like 8 years into my career, I started writing test cases like this. Before this, I didn't used to write it like this. So we're going to be using Gherkin style, and I'll show you guys, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But that was the way we do it. All right. Expected. Yeah, expected. There is no actual. Boom. The homework checker said that the expected and the actual were different columns. Well, yeah, there is no actual column, right? You only have the expected as a column. The actual is what actually happens. Yes, actual result versus expected result is for the bugs. All right. Okay, so that's that. What else was questions? Okay, so Layla, I hope I answered your question. Does smoke testing come before ad hoc testing? Okay, so ad hoc testing is, very simply put, is an informal type of testing. It's an exploratory test. Okay, it's where you are just kind of learning about the application, or you are just messing around with it. You usually don't do much ad hoc testing Well, let me fix that. I mean, you do, but again, it's informal. There's no test cases. There's no test suites. You're just in there looking around, poking around, trying to, trying to make something happen. All right, that's all there is to it. No requirement. Well, the requirements. No, again, you're not giving anything. You're not giving any documents. You're not giving anything. Ad hoc means just a free for all, like just a wild boom. All right. Maria DeCunha, what's your question? I don't know. I didn't get your question. You didn't put your question in the thread. So if you didn't put your question in the thread, I didn't get it. All right. You can ask me a question here. So all right. I like everybody likes I like ad hoc. You'll be finding a lot of bugs ad hoc testing. Okay. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you'll find the funny thing is, right? The bugs you find usually are not necessarily with formal testing. You will find more bugs just ad hoc testing on your own outside of any requirements, just kind of going crazy with it. Okay. Is there a filter to find executed versus to execute test cases in Smoke Suite? Is there a filter to find executed? You see here, you see this pass fail number one. Also, there's reports. There aren't filters to filter through your own test cases. The suite is the suite. The results are the results. Two separate things. All right, Maria, I hope that clears it up. Dole, do most QA jobs? Yes. Do most QA jobs use Jira? Even if they don't, just understanding the formatting of Jira will allow you to use any one of their softwares that they use. There's literally like 500 different softwares people use. Mostly Jira. Then there's DevOps. There's Rally. There's Trello. But the big idea remains the same. When does a bug become test case? It doesn't. A bug is a bug, and test case is a test case. You may write a bug because of a test case, or you may write a test case because of a bug, right? So one can happen because of the other, but one doesn't become the other, ever. Ideally, I want to foresee my steps and test cases before creating them, as if it fails, it is a bug, not a test case to pass. Ideally, you're writing test cases to pass. So your expected result should be something in the positive, right? You shouldn't be writing, even when you're writing a negative test case, which you guys, I'm going to explain to you in a little bit, you will still be writing the negative thing to pass. It doesn't make any sense right now, but it will in about another hour. Okay. So hold on to that thought. Once we get through our lesson for today, you will understand you will be able to answer your own questions. So all my test cases will always pass when I execute. No, your test cases are supposed to pass, but they will not all pass because of why? Bugs. There you go. That's right. You guys are awake. Nice. All right, cool. Can I get test case execution report of my test cases only? It could only find for the whole B35. Yeah, you can find your own report. Like again, you go into where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh yeah, you go in here. Hold on. There's reports. Excuse me. Switch report. We go into all reports because it's not listed in here, because obviously, of course, it's not. You go into the test execution report. You go to B35. You can go by user, and then hit next. I think that should be able to show yours. Yeah, it won't show you mine because I haven't executed any test cases yet. But you can again play around with it. Get in there, see how different things work. This is the time for you to do this. Okay. Right now is the time for you guys to get it in there and mess around. Go every part. Every single one of you should have or should Go through every single one of these things, every single one of these options in your Jira, whatever you may have. Everything on the left side menu, everything on the top menu, the settings, your profile, accessibility stuff, everything. Okay, so that way you can at least figure out how to do, or just see what's there even. Okay. Let's see. You couldn't do it. Why couldn't you do it? I don't know. Again, this is how you do it. You go into you go into reports. Jeez Louise, man. You go into all reports. You scroll down to other, and you go into test execution report, and you go into user, and you get your own. All right. That is, I mean, again, you won't see mine because I haven't executed it yet. All right, that's that. All right. In terms of test planning, knowing that smoke tests should focus on key functionality, wouldn't ad hoc testing focus on lesser aspects of the application? Ad hoc testing is done in pockets. It's done in instant. You don't do extended periods of ad hoc testing because that just means you got nothing to do and you're just screwing around, right? We either do functional testing, we either do smoke testing, regression testing, you know, all kinds of. There are multiple types of testing that needs to be done in order for us to get the application, tested and out the door. Jennifer Kelly, what's the issue with the homework checkers? Just don't just send a general statement. You have give me examples, or what are you talking about specifically, so I can clear it up for you. Dumb question. Writing test cases feels like so much more time consuming than finding bugs. So test cases exist to find not so obvious bugs. Test cases exist to document the fact that you have tested all the requirements that you have been given. Okay, it's a trail basically. It's a paper trail of making sure that everything that needs to be tested has been tested. That you're actually doing the work, and the fact, yeah, that's true too. All right, Armin, I hope that answered your question. What do you do if you find bugs during the steps of smoke testing? All right, how about you guys answer that for me? What do you do if you find a bug during the steps of smoke testing? Yep, you create a bug report. That's what you do. Again, anytime something fails, what is a bug? Anytime something's wrong, doesn't work, doesn't look right, doesn't feel right, doesn't act right, file a bug. Do test cases tend to be focused on one outcome or a multitude of desired outcomes? So here's the deal. Right now, your test cases should have a singular outcome for the most part. As you get more senior, as you start testing more complex things, your test cases become more complex, and it can have multiple dependencies, one thing on another. So for now, keep it as simple as possible. Right now, for the best thing for you guys to do right now is to practice over and over and over and over again, but in a simple, clear fashion, so you know what you're doing and you are certain that you're doing the right thing. All right. Where we go? Okay, here we go. You don't have, okay, so Samuel asks, so for our homework, what are our test requirements? How do we know what to test for? Smoke test, you were given a test plan. You were supposed to base your test cases off of that, right? That's what it was, period. You weren't given any actual requirements. What's the difference between blocked and fail when executing? Blocked means you can't even get to the place you need to get to for it to pass or fail. A fail is just a fail. All right, let me repeat that. Blocked means you can't even get to the place where you need to get to in order for you to figure out if it's a pass or a fail. Okay. How many types of QA tests are out there? I don't understand your question. So a block is a block. Again, a block is not a pass or a fail or anything in the test case or anywhere. is just a block of you can't do it. You cannot execute your test case for whatever reason. If the test case is poorly written, no. If the test case is poorly written, then it's poorly written, and it's probably going to fail or pass, depending on how, just because a test case is poorly written doesn't mean it's going to automatically fail. Just because you write a terrible test case, it could pass because you just wrote it badly. So what you have, that's perfect. So can a block be a bug? That is the thing that will block most of your testing, right? Because you found a bug, and the next test case, for example, in your smoke test suite, you had a bug for the in the location, right? So that bug blocks your test execution of creating a profile, right? Because you can't get all the way to the end of the profile creation. So that's the perfect block. A bug a lot of times will block you from testing. And that is when you will use that block option in the test case execution. All right. Does that make it any? No, don't delete the test case. Just means you block it when you're executing your test case. It's a block. It's just, it can't be executed until the block gets resolved, whatever the block may be. All right. So how are we feeling? By the way, do you guys know the difference between a smoke test and a sanity test? You guys didn't go over that, or you did? Okay, quickly, very, very quickly, all right? Because we've got to move on. A smoke test is a quick test of all the major features, right, of an application, all the big parts of the application. A sanity check is an even quicker check of new things that are coming into the application. It could be a bug fix, it could be new functionality, just to make sure. And the only thing you're doing with it, you're not writing any test. It's an ad hoc type of test, but what you're doing is you're making sure that at the very least, when let's say you try to create a profile, not that you can create the whole thing, that when you try to go to creating a profile, that the whole application doesn't blow up. That's what a sanity check is. You're just making sure that the most simplest thing, if you try to access the new thing, it doesn't just kind of crash the whole application. All right, now let me make sure I answered all your questions that were in the chat. All right. Okay, I'm not answering any homework related questions right now about when homework is due. Okay. Any other questions from our previous lessons? Are you guys good at this point? Everybody, hold your horses, man. Let me ask my questions. All right. And we'll get to the stuff we need to get to. Again, that's why I asked you guys. We're going to be here a little bit later than usual, right? I don't understand the status of the test. Pass, fail, block. What others? What don't you understand? Please give me more context. What are you trying to figure out? Unexecuted means it's unexecuted. It hasn't been executed yet. You haven't ran the test cases. Why do we leave this? It just is because you haven't touched it yet. Or you haven't gotten to it yet. Let's say you were running your test case, you're running your test cycle, right? You're running through your test suite, and you just haven't gotten to a particular test case because the other ones are taking too long, or it's the end of the day, you want to go home and you get your drink on. Right? That's what unexecuted is. All right. Okay, so guys, I need you to not address each other's questions. Okay. Talk to me, right? If you have a question, speak to me. The whole thing that you guys do with addressing each other is the worst possible thing you can do for yourself and for each other. All right. So if somebody has a question, please do not pick apart their question. I will do that, right? I will respond to them no matter how confused or simple it may seem to you. They may be confused. So please be courteous in that regards. All right. This is a matter of professionalism. This is what you need to learn from here on out going forward, right? Everything from here on out only gets more complicated. You guys, this is just the easy part. Okay. So again, the professional courtesy you need to show each other is also practice for when you get to the when you want to tell someone to just F off when you're in a company, right? You can't, because you have to maintain your professionalism. And this is where it starts. The ability to not get annoyed because other people are asking questions because they're obviously confused is, I don't appreciate it, and it's unnecessary. Okay. So there's a question. What's the question? Who had the question? How do we know when to specify test data? That's part of our lesson today. So all that stuff we will go over today. So last time, before we move on, everybody's solid from the last couple of sessions. The confusion is relatively cleared up as much as I could have done in the last 35, 40 minutes. If you have any questions still, please hold them off until the end, and then I'll spend some more time with you, whoever it is, at the end as well, right? Again, if you're still confused, don't worry. We can still go over it towards the end. Don't worry about the fact that other people get it and you don't. If you don't get it, hold that question until the end, and I will go over it again. Okay. So yeah, wait until towards the end, and we will go over the rest of the stuff. So in the meantime, let's talk about what we were supposed to be talking about for today. All right. Let me see here. Make sure I got my stuff here. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I need a sip of this power juice right now. Ivan, you didn't get it. Okay, Ivan, hold on again. Hold off your question until whatever questions you have, make sure you remember them, and then I'll go over them towards the end of the after our stuff for today. So now, today, what are we going to be going over? Test planning and regression testing. All right. What's a test plan? What's a mind map? What regression testing is, different types of testing, all these different things you see in the agenda is what we're going to be going over today. Like I said, this is where stuff starts getting a little bit more, start putting it together, it gets a little bit more complex, right? So make sure you guys are paying attention. You got your power juice, everybody's good to go, and let's rock and roll. So test planning, what do you need to do, right? It is one of the most important activities when it comes to testing. It is just a baseline plan to track the progress of the project. It also defines the size of the test effort. How much testing needs to be done? How many resources do you need? Now, when somebody mentions resources, that means basically they're saying in a fancy way, they're saying, how many people do you need on this? How many resources do you need on this project? How many people do you need on this project? Right? That's really the idea. That's what the whole idea about the test plan is, because you need to know right, how big of a testing effort is going to be. Now, the document itself, right, it describes the testing scope, like what the I like to say it this way. A test plan is basically the who, what, where, and how, right? The who, what, where, and how. Who's going to be testing? What's going to be tested? Where are we going to test it? What environment? And how are we testing? What type of testing are we going to be doing? Human resources, huh? I don't get it. All right. Again, it's the basis for formally testing any product, any software, on a project. Again, it allows you to structure your efforts and see the bigger picture. It is helping you. Again, it's like a blueprint to your testing, right? And remember, when I do this, what does that mean? Yes. There we go. So SDLC, Agile, Sprint. Then underneath that comes your test plan, right? The test plan itself is the thing you do every single time. Now, the test plan itself used to be this. Let me show you guys. This is one of my favorite parts of these classes. this is what a test plan used to be. If you can see on the if you see up here, it is a 30-page document. All right. If I scroll through here, you got a table of contents, a preface, an intro, roles and responsibilities, test setup. These are the kind of documents that we had to do 10, 12 years ago. I started working in QA literally as these things were going out of fashion. Okay. So let me show you something, what this means, right? We've got a preface, blah, blah, blah. What's the purpose? The primary focus of this document is to communicate. Like literally listen to this, right? Read this and tell me this isn't the most useless like waste of time. The primary focus of this document is to communicate in detail the testing activities to be performed by TestPro. Oh, well, duh, like what's the test plan for? The test plan is to tell you about our testing. Yeah, when you have to like expand, you have to write a 1,000-page essay, and you start talking about, just instead of saying I went left, you say I went in the eastern direction of the end of the hemisphere and all this stuff. That's kind of the idea here. Again, no. These are the kind of projects. I'm sorry, this is the kind of test plans they used to come up with in Waterfall, because you would have to basically do this entire thing before testing started, because once testing started, it was going to be a big, huge, activity. It was going to take 6, 9 months, 12 months, right? So that was the idea. Again, so what type of testing we're going to be doing, functional, system, unit, blah, 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 right? All these different kind of testing types. What is the approach and strategy we're going to be using? Again, now things have become a lot more localized, right? Each person comes up with their own little test plan. And again, I'll show you the version you're going to use nowadays. Now, I say that this is, in my career to this day, right? It's been 10 years I've been doing this. I've never, ever, ever written a test plan like this. But do I write it on my resume that I've worked with test plans? And does every single job requirement on the market will say test plan? 100%. So don't worry about that. As long as you know what the document is, you will 99.999% never have to write this document. Okay. But again, it's just a good idea to be aware of it. The link is there in the in LMS, right? Again, what the different browsers are we're going to be using, right? The Chrome, Windows 7. I mean, this is how old this is. IE 11. This is how old this is. Right, this document. Again, this is the first and second priority. Yeah, it's almost gone. It's these things are very, very obsolete. Again, it's a 30-page document, and it's you can again. You ever seen those memes like this whole meeting could have been an email, right? This whole test plan could have been a meeting, right? It shouldn't be this complex, but here it is. Just read it if you have time. Just kind of spend some time on it. Take a look at it, right? See whatever you want to see. See if you want to read it, go for it. But that's what it is. All right, that's a test plan. That's what people used to have to do. All right, so that's a test plan. Again, nobody does it anymore. Now, how do you plan? Right? Again, obviously planning is tough, and you will now you guys have already had a taste of this. You were asked to write a smoke test suite for humans without any sort of documentation. So how could you have done it to help yourself get organized? All right. A mind map. A mind map is a perfect option to help you kind of figure that out. Now, what is a mind map? It is basically a visualization of that document we just saw. Right? You take it and you kind of mock it up in a sense, right? You use a again, like I said, it's a graphical representation, all right, of the ideas and concepts. It's creative. It allows you to really kind of see what you're going to be doing and helps you break it down, all right? It helps you structure the information. Like I said, it just, honest to goodness, it is a lot more just like I know it's bold and it seems kind of corny, but it is fun as compared to writing a document like the test plan. Oh my God, what the heck. All right. This is an example of what a mind map looks like. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you what it looks like in real life as well, just right now in a moment. But again, just a quick breakdown of what it looks like. Launch promotions is like the big idea here, right? That's like the main thing. You've got your social media, your support, blog, email onboarding, listing, all these different features or all these different what would you call it, modules, right, within the application, and you kind of just break them down. For example, social media for the project, right? Let's break it down. What do we need to do? We need to create accounts. We need to start advertising. Well, which social media platforms do we need to advertise into? Facebook and Twitter, maybe a couple of other ones. Right now, we're only going to go with these two. And the third main idea behind it is we're trying to build an audience for our application, right? Same thing with PR, right? PR is, again, press related information. Again, what are we trying to do? We're going to reach out to influencers. Who are the influencers? Journalists, bloggers, speakers, right? We're going to reach out to media, and which particular ones, companies are we going to reach out to, right? Now, the other part of this is the listings. Where are we going to list it? We're going to list it in the app stores. You could break it down into the Android App Store and the iOS. Obviously, there's only two major ones, right? But it could be the Windows too, right? Review sites, app directories, product hunt. Again, you're just breaking down each thing into a simpler format. Again, I'm going to show it to you right now, but just kind of give you an idea. Again, there's like nodes, everything is linked. You can fold it, unfold it, zoom in and out. Again, it's visual. It makes it easier to see exactly what you're going to be doing. Again, you can be used for requirements analysis, test design. Again, remember what do I say about an axe? You guys remember my saying about the axe? Right? This is an axe, right? Again, if you don't know, if you missed those classes, an axe can be a tool to help you build a house or murder some people, right? It is about how you use the tool, right? The same people can use it to do either one or the other. So this is an axe. You can either use it to do requirement analysis. You can do it for your test planning. You can even do it for your test cases. You can break down your test cases how you want to do it. How do you want to structure your test cases? So you want to break down a steps. The idea behind it is the technique of decomposition. Right now, just look at it this way. You don't want to read all this, but look at the images. Right. The goal here is to make breakfast, right? Now, if you take that apart, there's two parts of the breakfast. One is the tea, and the other is toast, right? Well, what does it involve to make toast? Obviously, you got to slice the bread, you got to toast the bread, you got to butter the bread, you got to add the jam. So you would test each one of these steps on how to make toast. Same thing with tea. Well, what's the first step in making tea? Boil water, brew the tea, add the milk. Another step could be add sugar. Another step could be, I don't know. Yeah, something like that. And then obviously you put all that together. You got your toast, you got your tea, then you put it together and you got your breakfast. Right? Wait, what? Salsa on toast for breakfast? Come on now. Unless you're gonna do like a breakfast burrito, that makes sense. But damn, that went left. You know what I love, dude, is the Waffle House chicken and eggs breakfast. Lordy, man, I used to live in when I was living down in Alabama. After a night out at 9 a.m., straight from the club, straight to Waffle House. I'm still dressed up in my going out clothes, but I'm sitting in Waffle House having some eggs and chicken. Oh my goodness, the best. All right, so yeah, with salsa for sure. Yeah, Alabama and Mississippi, fun places. All right. So that's decomposition. That's the idea that we use or that we're gonna use, right? Again, the reason why we do this, Eric, beans and toast. That's and bangers and mash. No, you get bangers too, actually. You get blood pudding as well. I used to live in London. I lived in London for a little bit. Loved it. Can get the best fish and chips, obviously, up in St. Albans, just outside of London. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. All right. Why? I lived in London because I was following my dream to be a professional cricketer. So I was actually out there playing cricket professionally. There's layers to me. You guys don't know everything about me. Yeah. I was doing pretty well actually out there. All right. Anyways, back to my what was the questions? Yes, mind maps. Why would there be no requirements for test planning? Isn't something like that should come? Test planning, you might not have a set of, because you might be working at a you might be working at a startup. They don't have requirements. There could be multiple reasons why you don't have a set of requirements, right? This could be the way that you're breaking it down, just because maybe there's no structure at the company that you're working at or whatever. All right. So again, what's on this one? And it's so the idea being here, right? The whole idea behind the mind map is because we don't want to create that whole written document, right? It's tedious, it's long, it really is. You have to like go through all these different pages to find your answer, right? So what do? We create the mind map and makes life easier for us. Okay. Now, how do you do it? What's the idea? You put your main thing in the main feature, the main idea in the middle, and then you draw arrows out of it, right? Branches, sorry. So again, I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. I'm actually gonna show you guys. This is the link. It's coggle.it. It's free. You can use your Google email to your Gmail, Google email. I can't believe I just said Google email. Jeez Louise. I'm like thinking of 15 things at one time. You can use your Gmail profile to kind of just log into it, create, and it's pretty simple. You don't need to purchase anything. If they ask you to purchase anything, don't purchase anything. Let me show you guys what it looks like. So this would be like the breakdown. Again, have you guys seen Coil yet at all? Okay, so you guys haven't seen Coil at all. So Coil is the music player app that we're going to be using, right, to test. Oh my God, I hope this works. Damn it. Hold on a second. Okay. So you guys are giving me the wrong info? Yeah. So this is cool. This is the app that we're going to be using from from this point onwards to test, right? It's the music player app. Let me zoom out a little bit, make life easier. Not maybe too much. Again, different music player stuff like that. All right. So just to give you an idea, again, we're not doing anything in here, just to show you what it is. Again, so it's like, let me create. Actually, why did I do this? Let me create a new one. Hold on. All right, so create diagram. Again, just play around with it. This is not a requirement for anything. Cool. I think it was Jason probably sent it to you guys. Thank you for that, Jason. Or Serena or Laura. Yeah, thank you. 3 leads. By the way, if I was any of you guys, I would you guys owe those leads a drink of whatever, boba or matcha or whiskey, whatever they want. They have been extremely helpful and lifesavers for you guys. So thank you guys. If I'm forgetting anybody else, please, I apologize, but thank you too. Wherever she's at, man, I don't care. Send her something. All right, so coral is where we're gonna start. All right, let's pull it back. So you see these plus signs everywhere on each direction, right? So for example, let's do here. We're gonna do. Let's see. We're gonna do. There's a profile. Log in, log out. Right. Profile section. Let me log back in. So we could do registration. We can do. What else is here? The profile section. Close this. The profile and preferences section. Right. Add another here. All right. So registration. What does that? What does registration mean? Right. It could be. Oh crap! Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. I don't know what happened here. Jeez. Hold on, guys. Sorry, I know you're having questions. Let me. There we go. Sorry, we got registration. All right. And then you can see the plus signs. You can say create user. You can do, and again, another plus sign here. You can do fail registration, failure, how you're supposed to deal with it, what error message you're supposed to get, stuff like that. Registration success, right? So again, we're just going to be testing registration, and you can go these different directions, right? So we go into profile and preferences. Then we do a password change, email update, so we can go break it down further. So password change, email update. What else? What else is in here? Theme selection, right? Theme selection, right? You guys saw the theme right here. This area right here, right? You can select the themes. What else is there? Show now the notifications. You can either lump these in, or you can make them, each individual. So I'll just lump them in as the profile checkboxes, let's say, right? Profile check boxes. And then finally, the last.fm integration, okay? Now, how this is structured is entirely up to you, okay? Do we need to, what do you guys think I'm doing this for? Of course you need to follow along. Oh, you mean need to copy it at the same time, sorry. No, you don't need to do anything with it. Just watch me, and then on your own time, you can go in and practice. All right, again, this is just a tool. It's just Visio. It's kind of like Visio, but it's free. That's the big difference. And it's easy. It's simple. Again, you play around with it. You can do different colors. I don't know if we can actually do that. Yeah, you have to pay for different colors right now. But again, let's do another, kind of add one more thing to it, more layer to it. Let's do player controls, right? We'll do playlists. We'll do your music. What else do you see here? Playlist, right? Yeah, I did playlist already. Lyrics. Artist album. All right, so that's just a simple way of breaking it down. Now you guys can use it. Yeah, thanks, Jason. So you guys can use this however you want to break it down. Let's say you decide in your team, you decide to work on playlists, right? So first you guys are going to break it down from big project into this, from coil into each particular feature. Now, let's say, in your team, you are given the assignment to work on playlists. Do you have to work on this? No, you just create a new one, right? You could just go into Coggle, create a diagram, and then you can start from scratch. Playlists, right? You can go playlists. You go create playlist. Delete playlist. Again, you can go into whatever different options there are. Duplicate playlist. What else can you do with a playlist? I can't think of my other stuff right now, but favorited playlist. Again, so you can break it down into whatever it is you're working on, so you can kind of again visualize exactly how you want to break it down and test. All right. Again, Coggle.it. I think I put the link in the chat. In case I didn't, you can use it. Crap, I sent it to myself. Idiot. This is an easy version of a test plan. All right. Your lead should have given you access as well. You guys should have it in the chat. You guys should have it on LMS. I'm sending it to you right now as well. Again, play around with it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. It's a good visual aid. It's a good tool. It usually has some, I don't know if it had examples or not. But again, you can literally use it to break down things you do every day in your life. You don't even need to for it to be related to TestPro at the moment. But again, you will have a homework assignment related to it as well. All right, cool. Everybody good on Coggle? Any questions about Coggle? Coil is the name of the app. Yeah, that's the new app we're going to be testing. All right, everybody's good. Cool. Let's keep on keeping on. Again, we've done a demo. We've practiced. No point. Now, the main part of the day today, regression testing. So we've done already we've already done smoke testing, right? Now we have to come to the other part of this. Now, regression testing is the last set of testing that you do before your application is thumbs up or thumbs down for release to production, right? This is your last defense against any issues that may have been introduced. So with smoke tests, we just quickly test all the major things, right? With the regression test, what we're doing is we're testing everything, right, in the application that is, again, according to priority, to make sure that whatever new development was done, whatever bugs were fixed, anything that was new was added in whatever way, didn't break anything that was already there, right? So it's like when you're playing Jenga. You guys ever play Jenga? You guys know what Jenga is? Okay, so for those of you that don't know what Jenga is, first of all, what kind of a childhood did you have? Maybe not a probably overseas childhood. All right, so this is Jenga. This is code, right? So what you do is you take these little pieces and you pull them out and you put them on the top. That is how code usually works, right? But that's the whole point of regression testing. You spent the first 8 days of your sprint checking these things up here, making sure all this is solid. But now you got to go back all the way down the list and make sure everything all the way to the base is still okay. It's still standing. This didn't break. Because the thing with software is this could be broken down here and you wouldn't know because everything else is still standing up here. Does that example kind of make sense to you guys about what regression testing is? Obviously, I'm going to explain it more, but do you get an idea? It's not a big sanity. It is a more detailed version of a smoke test, but you're not just testing the big stuff, you're testing everything. And you're doing it in detail. Smoke tests are meant to be fast, are meant to be quick. Regression testing is meant to be detailed, methodical, time consuming. Okay. So again, it's the type of software testing to confirm that the recent program or code change has not adversely affected existing features. Now, here's the thing, right? Let's say you had a bug, for example, that location bug, right? In humans. Let's say that bug was fixed. Do you need to test? Do you think you would need to test creating a profile? Regression test, creating a profile. Why? How do you know that you would need to test that? Or what makes you think you would need to test it? Everybody said yes, by the way, but why did they say yes? How is it relevant to the fix? Search. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Time out. My bad. Let's bring it back. So fixing that location bug, let's do that. And then would you go back and retest, for example, the links, like the social media links on the page? Would you need to go back and retest those? Why? Correct, Wendy. That's right. So the reason why we would go back and test something else, retest everything that, in your mind, in a simple manner, it doesn't look like it's related. But in reality, the way that code works is it's like a spider web, right? It one thing can have an effect on another thing that was made or created and has been working for years. This is especially true for when you go into a project and you start testing on a product that is old, that's been working for a long time, right? When new stuff is worked on, stuff gets introduced, the regression testing becomes much more important because the old stuff has been untouched. Nobody's touched it. Nobody's done anything to it. It's been working. Nobody has to worry about it. But the new code may do something that the old code didn't expect. Okay. And that is where you will run into a lot of problems. Yeah. So it's a good test to make sure that everything that was previously working is still working. Because I'll tell you just off of my own experience, right? Is that what happened was there's always that one customer that uses it only like one kind of way. They're all the way back here everybody else is here and they're all the way over here, but the regression stuff breaks and they are the ones that affected and everything about their whole company is affected. They're losing thousands of dollars a day, right? So keep that in mind. That's why we do regression testing. That's why regression testing is important. And it's important everywhere, but it's especially important on products or applications that have been out for a long period of time. Now, when do you do regression? Again, anytime there's a change of requirements and code is modified. Anytime code is modified, you do regression. New features added, regression. Bug fix, regression. Again, defect fixing, regression. Performance issue fix, regression. Now, in a 10-day sprint, let me ask you guys an interview question. And this is a tricky interview question. How many times per sprint would you do regression testing? Damn, everybody's wrong. You do regression testing once every sprint. One time. Right at the end. After you've done all your other kinds of testing. Okay? Once all the other testing is done, you've given your okay to that, and you do the regression testing right at the end. You do not do it more than once in a sprint. Right? Because again, everything else is tested All the other functional stuff is good to go. You've tested everything, all the integration. You've done cross browser testing. You've done cross platform testing on all the different devices. Everything blah 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 works fine. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go back and make sure all your existing stuff is still working correctly. Ravi, every sprint for the whole application, absolutely. Now I don't know if Ravi, it was you or somebody else that asked the question. How long does it take? What was the question? Yeah, does regression take more time than smoke? Absolutely. Regression takes you days. Smoke should take you no more than a couple of hours, if that. Do you call it at the same time at the end of the whole app? I don't get it, Emily. What do you mean? What's the time box? Depends on the size of your application. You could have 1,000 test cases for regression that you need to run, and you could spend a whole sprint just doing regression. Right? That's possibility. But most places don't do regression, that much regression. Is regression usually automated? Yes, it is. That's what automation engineers do. They set up the regression test cases and they maintain them to make sure that the application continues to work. There aren't any issues. That's why the automation course, remember I said it's less stress because you're working on stuff that's more stable. Smart boy. Is it because smoke tests? Yeah. So yeah, the reason why it takes longer is because the smoke test obviously is a quick test of just the main stuff, and the regression stuff testing is the more detailed testing for the rest of the application. Would I say sanity is similar to regression? Nope. Sanity is not one of the last tests. Sanity is one of the first tests you do. Ooh, Wendy, good question. If regression fails, do some companies still release a product? Depends on what failed. Depends on how important the release is. So why don't automation testing take over manual? Well, what about the rest of the testing? Right? Who's going to do the rest of the, again, the automation testing? The testers don't do the new functional testing stuff, right? That's our job. Right? So again, it's the human touch. Machines can only do so much. Ooh, what is the order of testing? So here's the order of testing. Smoke test, sanity test, right at the beginning. It's up to you what you want to do first. Let's say you have 3 bug fixes on the new build, right? The 3 bug fixes, you can do a quick sanity check of the 3 bug fixes, do your smoke test. Then you do your functional testing, all the new stuff, make sure it's done, the integration, everything that's new is thoroughly tested, it's strong, it isn't broken, there aren't any bugs. Once you run through that cycle, then you do your regression testing, and then you put your product out for release. All right. Retesting and regression. Retesting is just, that's what it is, what it sounds like. You're retesting a bug fix, you're retesting something in the application, right? A regression is you're retesting one particular feature or retesting a bug fix. That's what retesting is. Regression is testing the remainder of the application. You're not retesting the rest of the application. You shouldn't have touched the rest of the application at that time. All right. So I hope that answers your question. So the regression testing is executed when all found bugs are fixed. Yes. So you only start and end regression testing once everything else is 100% solid. If it isn't, then you don't do regression then. You wait until everything else is solid. We're retesting only what's in the sprint. I don't get it. I don't get your question. So if the bug is big on regression, they don't release the product. If the bug is not serious, they could still release the product. Again, it just depends on what the objective is, right? It's like if it's a big release and blah blah blah, they need to get it out, then they need to get it. But here's the thing. This is where you come in, right? Lana, yes, you do retest the rest of the application that you didn't test already in regression testing. Yes, you do test the whole app in regression testing. You're not retesting it because you never tested the whole application to begin with. You've only been testing the new stuff. So once you're done with the new stuff, then you go back and you test the whole thing. All right. I'm glad that cleared it up. Yeah. So the release of the product thing again is so we are the ones that gives the go ahead. I can tell you of a time where this, I think it was a CTO or something, she came up to me and was basically like elbowing me like, hey, we need to release this product. I'm like, it failed regression. There's no way I'm not gonna give it my go ahead. And then the CFO came. He's like, yeah, we gotta get this product out there. I'm like, yeah, I understand we need to release the product, but it's gonna blow up. They're like, yeah, no, we don't care. It's all good. And I was cool with everybody. Like, so I mean, I was friends with the CEO and the president and stuff. I mean, friends is putting it a little bit. I was cool with them. But I told them straight, like, look, if this goes to production and it blows up in your face and we start losing customers, don't put it on my head. I'm telling you up front. They're like, yeah, we'll take the risk. And guess what happened? The thing went to production and it blew up, and they were stuck there all weekend trying to fix it. I was like, yeah, they called me there. I'm like, I'm not showing up. I got weekend plans. I'm out of the city. So you guys need to, I told you guys this. That's one of the moments when I told you so is warranted. All right. Is the product still on the market? Yeah, they got bought out by some investment company in Denver. It's a long story. And at that point I didn't care about I didn't care about that job anyways. I'll be real. I get bored, man. I get bored after a little bit of time in pretty much every job. I start doing funny things. Is that kind of a risk to rush the release worth ever? Yeah, it is. Sometimes there is. Again, you don't want to worry about that for now. That's not our concern. Again, we're focusing a little bit on the wrong thing. Let's keep it to our testing, and we'll worry about the fanciful scenarios at some other time. Kind of, Wendy. I kind of agree with you, but not really. All right. So as far as where we do regression, everybody knows. What are the different types of regression? So now, are you going to be doing a whole regression every time? Let's say you have 1,000 test cases. Are you going to run 1,000 test cases every single sprint? You just can't. That's not how it's going to work. There are times though where you need to, and you have the ability to do a retest all, right? You retest the whole application when you have the ability. But other times, you have to prioritize, right? You select test cases based on how reusable they are, and you remove test cases based on if they've gone obsolete. Right? Reusable can be used in following regression cycles. You can continue using them, but obsolete ones will be removed from your test cycles, and you will no longer use them going forward. Now, how does a test case become obsolete? Well, remember, we're in maintenance phase. Things change, things get updated, things get removed from an application, right? So when that happens, your old test cases you wrote 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 14 months ago, there will be times when those test cases are basically useless. They're worthless, right? So you would just remove them out of the backlog. Either you would fix them, you would update them, or you would just kick them out of the backlog and you would just do your, create a new regression test case. So again, it's you prioritize what you're gonna work on. So again, out of those, let's say again, out of those 1,000, you prioritize 50 or 100, right? And you run those, let's say, because you only have a day left in your sprint. Now, what part of the sprint? Let's say you have 10 days in the sprint. Tell me what number day, right? Would you start doing your regression? Yeah, probably around 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. Sure. Right. Again, the idea is it's towards the end of the sprint, right? Ivan, you need an example. Example of what? Right. So that's again. So we're again. The idea is since it is the last activity you do. Now, where I don't get. I don't. You can't just put a one word answer, man. You got to give me some kind of context what you're asking me. So now let me give you guys another insight. The biggest and most scariest bugs will happen right when you're doing regression testing and someone says, let's add this one last thing. Let's add this one last feature. Let's add a new function. Let's put a bug fix in there. And you'll be like, okay, I'll go back in and retest the bug, but I will just continue my regression test to from where I left off instead of doing my regression all over again. That is where you will have your biggest issues. That's where the biggest, baddest, scariest bugs will come out because you will always end up missing something there. Okay. So, and remember, QA, we're like the catchers in baseball or the goalie in soccer. You can have 100 saves, you can catch hundreds of pitches on a day, no problem. It's the one you let slip by you that hits the back of the net or misses your glove. That's what everybody's going to be talking about. All right. So keep that in mind. No, we can't say no to adding new functionality. We have to roll with the punches. All right. Okay, so prioritization. That's it. We're gonna either do again. Let's say we have a big test suite of 1,000 test cases. We either run all of them, or we prioritize the top 50, 100, 20, 30, whatever it might be, and we run those to make sure everything is good to go. Again, again, oh, that was the next slide. I just spoke about it. What's a little bit too early. Again, the idea is that the last minute bug fixes, creating side effects is the biggest hindrance you will have that's going to cause you problems. Try to avoid it. Try to look past it. Try to try to again avoid this issue. And also, if you need to work a little bit harder, do it. This is most important because you are going to. If you miss it, that's where you're going to get in trouble. All right. Again, test cases which have frequent defects, those are the ones that you prioritize. Functionality, which is more visible to users, creating a profile, the search features, locations, images, things like that, make sure those are good. The core features of the product, that needs to be tested. Functionality, which has undergone more recent changes. Again, it could be a new feature that's gotten like more things added to it, right? So you've got a new feature, then you add more additional complexity on top of it. You have to make sure you continue regression testing it, especially if it's young, right? And it hasn't been worked on, but it hasn't been used by customers that much, right? So you always want to be the one that finds the issue before the customer does. And even if here's another interview question for you guys. Let's say you find a bug, you get a new build out into production, you're testing it, and you find a bug in production. What do you do? Absolutely, you report it immediately. You raise the red flags. Now and then let me give you guys a couple of things about the interview process, right? QA interview questions are never just the questions that they look like on the surface. Like, for example, this question I just asked you, right, about production bug. This question isn't about the bug going to production. This question is about, do you have a sense of, are you a coward? Right? Would you step up and, admit fault to a thing that went out to production, which is obviously on your head, rather than just letting it sit there and like not saying anything and letting the application blow up? Right? Do you take responsibility for your work? Hey, Maria, you said it right on time as I did. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's about taking responsibility having a sense of responsibility for your work and a sense of pride in what you're doing. And even if you make mistakes, I'll give you another example. I I used to have a obviously you get work laptops, right? So I was on a work laptop and I wanted to watch basketball. And I opened up a website that was one of those, clickbaity websites that I shouldn't have been on. And trust me, it was basketball. It wasn't anything bad. I would have told you if it was. Um, and I got a virus on my work laptop. Next day, I went to the office. They plugged it in. The IT guys came, pulled up my laptop. My laptop gone. They took it away, and nothing happened. So uh, about 3, 4, 5 hours later, my boss, my actually not even my boss's boss, the director of QA, he called me into the office. He's like, "What do you want to tell? Were you doing something that you weren't supposed to do on your laptop?" I was like, "Yeah, hey, boss, I'll be honest, man. I went on a website I wasn't supposed to go to, and my mistake. I apologize. I screwed up, but I owned up to my mistake." And he told me, like, again, we're friends now. He told me like a year or two down the line, he's like, "If you would have lied to me in that instance, I would have fired you on the spot." Right? So again, that's what it comes out to, is again accepting responsibility for your actions, and it is what it is, right? All right. Ravi, I think you're getting it confused. Regression is done by QA, by manual QAs as well, right? So regression is not a strictly automation thing. Automation QA do work a lot on regression stuff. They do new features too. They do the same things we do. They do functional testing as well. Again, they're just doing it from a computer, like a more technical perspective than we are. We're doing it more from a user's perspective, a manual perspective. Okay. Yep, James, that's right. All right. So additional test cases that we need to, again, additional criteria that we need to speak about as far as regression testing is concerned. Which test cases to choose in your select few, right? The integration test cases, the more complex test cases, boundary value test cases, a sample of success and failures. You want to make sure that things that were passing before are still passing, and things that were failing before continue to fail. There will be times where, like, for example, there will be some kind of validation, right? Like you can only put in numbers between 0 and 9 in a field, and all of a sudden that validation will get deleted or commented out or something, and you'll be able to put in, the letter F in there, right? So those are the kinds of things that we need to make sure that the things that are failing still fail, the things that we're passing still pass. All right. So what are the first three? Integration, right? Do they all integrate with each other? Like all the different features or all the different modules or different systems within your applications, do they all still work, right? The integration between them, is that still working correctly? Complex, again, the more detailed and complex test cases, some features of your application just are going to require you to have, complicated test cases. Make sure that those are included in your test suite as well. Boundary value, I'm going to talk about in the next couple of slides. You'll understand what it means in a little bit. All right. So obviously, guys, we are a little bit over today, but again, we talked about this. I'm gonna get through this. I try to get through. We might be done in the next 20 minutes. It might take a little bit longer than that. So please, again, if you have to leave, you got something to do, you got something to do. All right. But again, I'm going to be covering this today. Obviously, you guys will have access to the videos and stuff. So I know if you guys are on the East Coast, it'll get tough, but this is going to be, I don't want to, we don't have time to waste. Obviously, there's been a lot of, you guys can delay your scrum. Sheesh. Everybody's in class. Let them know you got an excuse. All right. All right. So different types of testing. What are we talking about? Positive testing. What is positive testing? Positive testing is what we do when we provide valid data as input. Okay. So for example, when I were, if, God dang, I can't even talk. Maybe I do need a break. Let me take a sip of my power juice. Whoa, just kidding. So A positive test would be if I were to give it the right email address and give it the right email address, right password, valid email address, valid password, and try to log in, that would be a positive test. A search here, right, would be let me see here. Let me find a song. Let's say beat. Let's type in beat. Right. So that would be a what you call it, you know, a putting in an alpha characters in the search field. Now that would be a positive test, right? So for example, in this field, you're only allowed to put in values from 0 to 99,999, right? That's the rule. That's what positive testing is. So when we do this, we are trying to make sure that the rules that have been set are being met. Now, do you write a lot of positive test cases? No, right? Because there's a way to write the positive test cases that's going to come up right now. But if it's asking you to do something correct and within certain, you know, borders, right, within certain boundary, then it should all work. It should all be fine, right? Because again, if it's one or the other within 0 and 99999, it'll all work. Will 1 work? Will 10 work? Will 100 work? Will 1,000 work? Will 10,000 work? Obviously, all those will work, right? Once you test, you know, 3 or 4 in between. So how do you test it outside of that, right? How do you test it to break the application? That's what we call negative testing, right? So again, you're providing invalid data as input. Okay, so when it's asking you for again 0 to 99999 and you put in A, B, C, D, E, F, right? That is a negative test. That is an invalid value. So what do I mean? In here, in the search, for example, right? I put in a pound and a $sign. What do I get? Well, guess what? We just found a bug, right? Because again, the search didn't clear, right? So this should return, not E, sorry. We'll just put a bunch of symbols in here, right? And we do a search, right? Even this updates to show that the search for this, but how is this showing up as the search right there, right? So this was a negative test and this failed. Why did it fail? Because it's still showing you a search result. Now, if I were to start from scratch and do a search again, it's still showing up. Let me clear this up. What the hell? All right, let me see. Cleared search. I don't see anything. Okay, we'll go. Let's see. Let's find a different song. So we'll go Holinza. Holinza. So nothing is found now. Oh. What was the song? I just looked it up. Holizna. So see, that should be returning something, right? So this is a valid search. There's just some issue with why it's not returning back. Let's go mid-air machine. Mid-air. So if I do this, that works, right? But now let me clear this and type in just symbol characters, right? Negative test. And it doesn't clear. It doesn't show an updated. This shouldn't be no songs found, right? When I did the other search. So when I did holy, none found. But if I do mid, okay, let's go with whatever, Memoria, right? We do a search for, let's say, again, just put in symbols. This should clear, right? This should return no results. Well, that's a bug. Beautiful. We did our first negative test and we found a bug. All right. Do you guys understand what a positive and a negative test is? How it works, how we would be testing the application, right? So I'll give you another example. Let me see here. Let me see. Add to. See, this would be a negative test, right? Trying to add it to a playlist without providing a playlist name, just pressing the enter key. So you should be getting some sort of an error message, right? Now, are you so when you so when let me ask you guys a question. When you're writing a negative test case, is every one of those test cases going to be a bug? No, because it's not going to be a bug because you're writing that test case, that negative test case to pass, right? So when you write this test case, that you try to you try to add a song into a playlist and you don't add the name and you try to save it, that you should get an error. Well, you did get an error. Please fill out this field. Boom. That's a pass. Okay. A positive test for the exact same test case in this case would be test playlist. Now, if I give it a name and I press the key, it should create a playlist right here with a song in it. That is the same exact scenario. We did a positive test and a negative test for the same exact functionality. Do you get it? You guys understanding it? Who was the one that asked the question? Timothy, you good? Okay. So again, going back to the example of a positive and negative test. In this instance, we're going to click on a song and we're going to click on an add to, so we can add it to a particular playlist. We can either, the negative test would be to add it to a new playlist and click the enter button without providing a playlist name, right? And in that sense, the test case would say it should not allow you to save it, right? So that's the result. It will not allow you to save it. But a positive test case for the same function would be to put in a actual name and press the enter button, and it should create it on the left side if you see it here, right? And it should add the song to it. Do you understand what a positive and a negative test is? What we create in Jira and whatnot, we'll get to that. Okay, so anytime you're doing something that's within the accepted requirements, you get it. So now, let me ask you this. What type of test cases do you think are going to be the majority of the test cases you write? Positive or negative? All right, most of you guys are totally wrong. Negative test cases are the majority of the test cases you write. All right, because again, and I'll explain to you why that is. So again, you know, the search field is only looking for numbers, and you've put in a whatchamacallit, alpha characters. All right, so that would be a negative test. Again, because why do we do so? Okay, well, let me ask you this: why would we write majority negative tests? Let's see if you guys can answer that question. Yeah, Oksana, there you go. Because we're trying to break the application, right? The simple stuff is easy. They can do it, right? It just goes through the system as accepted as it works. What we're trying to do is we're trying to break it. Here's my approach to testing, right? The way that I use my mental is to treat it like if you were to give a 6-year-old instructions to use an application. Do you think they would sit there and follow all the complicated rules? No, they'd just be hammering the keys like a crazy bunch of gorillas, right? So that's the idea that's how we should always test our application, right? We just try to break the rules as much as we can. All right, so that is positive and negative. Now, do you want to go through every single value from 0 to 99,999? You do not. You don't have the time for it. So what you do is what we call a boundary value analysis, right? Everything within the boundary in this instance is a positive test, and everything outside of the boundary is considered a negative test, right? Now, what does that mean? The example here being that you are going to the example we're going to use is called equivalence partitioning, right? Where let's say this is your requirement. The customer is eligible for a life assurance discount if they are at least 18 and no older than 56. Okay, so we went from 0 to 99,999 to 18 to 56. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to check 18, we're going to check 56, and we're going to check one value in between. Because 18 is the minimum, 56 is the maximum, and we're going to check one value, let's say 33. If all those three work, then everything in between those should work. But the negative test would be going one less than 18 and one more than 56. So one less than the minimum, one more than the maximum. That should break. This should break. Okay. So the boundary values that we're going to be testing is going to be 17, one less than 18, 18, which is the minimum, 19, which falls in the acceptable scope, 55 and 56, which also fall in the acceptable scope, and then 57, which fall outside of the maximum range. So that's, always remember, the middle range, the acceptable range, one less than minimum, one more than maximum. Those, the one less than minimum is a negative, and the one more than maximum is a negative. Okay, but everything in between 18 and 56, that's all positive. Those are all positive tests. Now, it doesn't just pertain to numbers. It could be anything within a acceptable requirement range. So that's how we break it down on making it between the, where we don't have to go and use thousands and thousands of different test cases just to make sure. So instead of going 0 to 99999, we'll pick 0, we'll pick 99999, we'll pick 10,000, right? Those three values. Then we'll pick -5, and we'll pick 105,000. The explanation is only numbers, but it can be applied to anything. So again, the non-number would be A to Z. Someone says that you need to use A to Z, right? Well, the positive test would be A, C, F, Z. The negative test would be 62 and the $sign. That would be the negative test. Make sense? Again, equivalence partitioning, you're breaking it down into many partitions, right? The positive partitions and the negative partitions. Again, same idea, right? So it could be the sample values. Remember what we said, a lot of test cases can be written from this. 0 to 17, that's the minus partition, right? The negative on the minus side, right? 18 to 56 is the positive partition, right? Those are all the acceptable values in between, and everything 57 and above is on the plus side, which is the other negative partition. Again, you can break it down into however many partitions you want, right? But again, you don't want to do too much, but you don't want to do too little either. Okay. So, which brings us to COIL, which is our second application that we're going to be testing. All right. This is the URL bbb.testpro.io. Again, they should all be in LMS. I've put in the link in the chat. Please do not ask any questions about access right now. Okay. We're already way far behind, right? So we got stuff to get to. The application is there. There's documentation that we have now. You guys, all that complaining about requirements, here's your requirements documentation. The doc is there. Read through it, so you can see exactly what's supposed to happen. The other thing is, it's going to be an LMS. I've posted it in the chat, so you should have that as well. So within the valid range, we use positive tests. Outside the range, we use negative. Not use, they are. Right? So within the valid range, it is a positive test. Outside the valid range, it is a negative test. Whatever you use in those partitions is either positive or negative. So either positive or negative. So Cole, that's documentation. Again, you go there, you register. Everybody's password is the same. Okay, which is test student, but all the S's are dollar signs. Okay, again, don't worry about this for now. All of you have access. Use the same email that you use for class, and you should be able to log in. Okay, test student is password. All this information is going to be in LMS. Don't focus on this right now. This is not what's important. What's important is, again, it's a music player app. You'll go in there, you'll take a look, blah, blah, blah. Great. Again, now, this is the thing that's important, is the Gherkin style test cases. Now, this is where I want you guys to really buckle down, because if we can get through this and you can understand what I'm talking about, this is going to change your life. All right? Bing bong. So, what is Gherkin? Gherkin is a way of writing test cases in the plain language that is understandable for everybody. All right? I'm not going to go over this definition. Go over it some other time. Read all about it. I don't care. What we care about is the setup to the test cases. All right? So, the test cases are set up in a way like this. We had our preconditions, right? We have a precondition, we have an action, and then we have a result, right? Given, when, then. Okay, so the given is describes the context, describes the scene of the scenario. You know, when you're like watching a movie, there's a guy hanging upside down from a tree that's covered in toilet paper, and it just goes, and the guy's like, let me tell you how I got here, right? That is your given. That's your setup, right? Where are we? Where are we on the page? Where are we located? Where are we located? Right? That's the precondition. So a test step that defines the context. So the test case we're going to be doing is logging in, right? So the given in this situation is given the user is on the login page. Okay? That's our given, that's our setup, that's our precondition. So what that means is you have landed, your starting point is going to be the login page. Okay? The next step is the action, right? So given is the precondition. When is the action, right? It describes an event or an action. So anytime the user interacts with the system is an action. You click a button, you type something, you provide an input of any kind, it's called an action. So that's where you use the when. So given that you're on the login page, when I perform a sign in, right? So when a user provides valid credentials, what is then the expected result, which comes up next? The then is the outcome after the action has taken place, right? So given you're on the login page, when you provide the credentials and log in, then you should see welcome to TestPro. Okay? Given, precondition, when is the action, then is the expected result. Okay? Next is the and. Now, and is used when you have multiple whens or thens. Can you have multiple ones or thens? Absolutely, right? Again, the further you go, the more complex it gets. Okay? So let me give you an example. Let's write down a couple of regression test cases. All right, that's what you're going to be doing. All right, we go test, create a test. So again, we're going to do test. We're going to do summary is cool. Let's go log in with valid credentials, right? So given, and again, remember, I like doing it this way because this is the way the structure is supposed to be. The given, the when, and the then are always capitalized. All right, so given user is on login page, right? And let's give the login page. Actually, since I'm logged in, I probably need to log out. All right, so this is the URL that we use. So you always provide the URL of the page, right? So given the user on the login page, right? Again, when user enters valid credentials and clicks login. Now, this doesn't need to be an additional step, but it can be. Okay. So actually, let me remove that. Let me put it in here because you don't really need that and. That's not a regular and clicks login. The expected result is then user should be successfully logged in. Now, what are we missing? Test data, right? So what's the test data going to be? Let's say it's going to be test@user.com/ the password is going to be test, sorry, TEST. We click update. Remember, always press the add button here. Okay, you click create and your test case is created. Okay, so again, given you're the loser, the user is on the login page, which is here. When the user enters valid credentials and clicks login, this is this is the test data. This is what they're going to use as their username and password. Then user should be successfully logged in. Okay. Now let's do a negative test now. Okay. Login with invalid credentials. God dang it. Invalid. Now this is a negative test case. Does anything change? So given when user is on login page, right? That's our given. Test step. When user attempts to log in with invalid credentials and clicks login, or what's the button here? Yeah, sorry. Okay, also this is wrong. It's log in. That's what the button is. Okay. Test data, let's say, boom, boom, password room. All right. Then user should not be able to log in. Sorry. And the login field, the login section should shake. I know this sounds weird, but just watch, okay? So we're going to create this test case. All right. Now, if I were to put in boom, boom, room, and I click login, oh, at room. Do you see that shake? That's literally, we have to account for that. That's a requirement or something, right? That's what happens. That's why I did a shake, shake, shake. All right. So again, the precondition was that we're on the login page. The test step was when user attempts to log in with invalid credentials and clicks login. That's the test data, right? So now here, let me do another thing for you. Yeah, that would be another negative test, right? This would be a negative test. And then let me change it up for you. Now, what you can also do is, instead of having all this, you can take the and add it here, right? As a separate action, right? And then what happened is you would take the expected result and put it on the same line as the and. So let's say you have multiple ands, right? The expected result happens at the end of your last action, right? Sometimes you'll have errors or something that pop up as you go along, but that's what it is. But that's where you put that in. Otherwise, you put in the expected result in a place where it is the last action happens. So test cases can be one steps. Yeah, test cases can be a single step because this is a simple thing like a login. Now, if it was something different like login and click on current queue or go to all songs, right click on a song or click on a song and press play or double click on a song and press play, you would have multiple different steps. Okay. Or so even in this case, right? Let me give you another test case. I'm not going to write it out. I'm just going to give you a scenario. You can write this test case. Again, it's just a practice test case. It's not really a regression. There is an expected result for most actions, right? And if there isn't anything that you expect to do that is expected to happen, then you don't need an expected result, right? So for example, a negative test in this case, right? So let me just show you that it's not all about just ones and twos and A's and B's. You're playing a song, right? A negative test in this scenario would be while the song is playing, you try to delete it. You press the delete button. What happens? You don't have the delete option. Or actually, let's go to the playlist. So that's a negative test, right? So the negative test was if I delete the playlist while I'm playing a song, what should happen, right? Given a user, so in this situation, you would have a given of being in the actual, you're already logged in successfully. So let me actually write this out. Let me write this out for you guys. Hold on. So coil deleting a playlist while song is playing should not stop song, right? So that would be, that's a little bit of a more complex scenario. This is a little bit more complex, so just don't freak out. Just kind of see if you can figure it out. So given user is successfully logged in to Cole, when user plays a song, when user selects a playlist and plays a song and clicks delete playlist button, then playlist should be deleted and song should continue playing. Okay, that would be like an where you would use an and. Right. So again, given that the user successfully logged in, so in this case, what I would usually do, I'm sorry, I messed up, would be I would give, email and password. Right. This is, I would provide the login credential because you should have test credentials when you're testing in an application. Next step would be when user selects a playlist and plays a song, we selected a playlist, we played a song, and clicks delete playlist button, we delete playlist button, and then actually, so I missed a step here. Click delete and delete the playlist. So then let me see here. Let me add another step. And click it. User expected result should be and user is prompted with delete this playlist button and user clicks OK. Okay. Then the playlist should be deleted and the song should continue playing. Okay, so let me just show this again. Okay, given this user successfully logged in, right? Next step is when user selects a playlist and plays a song, right? We selected a playlist, we played a song, and clicks delete playlist button, and users prompted with the delete playlist test playlist, and user clicks OK, then playlist should be deleted and song should continue playing. Now, test data wise, what do we want to provide? We could provide the playlist and the song. So we could say to test, right? So we could say playlist test and song. What is the song? Waiting on a something. So we could say waiting on a ... That gives us a clearer idea on that. That's what's happening. The pop-up is there. You click OK, and then the thing is deleted. All right. Does that make sense? I know that was a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complex, but I wanted to give you an idea on how you can use Gherkin. I love using Gherkin. It makes test case writing so much more simpler. It really does. Again, I hope it turned a light bulb on for you, because it did for me. And from that point onwards, I've only used Gherkin style test cases. I haven't gone back to writing them the old way. It requires, it requires you to just understand it once. Once you get it, then you can it's the best tool. The old way is what you guys did for the smoke test. Yes. So usually you don't do it this way for the smoke test, but do whatever feels best to you. I don't have a problem. Most people will tell you don't do a Gherkin style for smoke test. I say do what feels right. Sorry, I had a little flashback. But yeah, that's what I would recommend, is to go with what you think is best for you. All right, so we are done for today, guys. Way to go. You stuck in there. You hung in there. You did it. We figured it out. You always get to choose Gherkin or not. You can choose Gherkin for everything from now on. I would say use Gherkin as often as you can. All right. So as you guys know, as I've said it before, or maybe you do, maybe you don't know, today is going to be my last session with you guys. You will not be seeing me at all going forward. Yeah. So again, I'm always available online. Ping me if you guys are interested. If you have anything you want to ask, you want to talk to me, you want to holla, anytime I'm available. Again, ask questions, no worries. Also, guys, I want to ask you guys a favor. All right, when you get a new instructor, please take time to kind of adjust yourself to the way that they work as well, right? So everybody does differently, right? So please give each other a chance. Give each other a chance. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure. We started this journey like in March, with some of you. The first time I met some of you guys was in March. All right. So I like to end by saying I wish you good fortune in the wars to come. Again, I'm here for you. Anytime you guys have any questions, please ask. I'm available. Not a problem. I'll try to answer. Why is it called? I don't know, man. It's called Gherkin because it's called Gherkin. I wish you all best of luck. It's going to get more complicated from here. Help each other out. Again, don't cut each other down. Raise each other up. All right. Cool beans. Awesome. Great session today, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Add me. Okay, I won't add you on LinkedIn if you don't have a profile picture and your profile is completely blank. Right? The picture it's not that big of a deal, but it does help. But if you have an incomplete profile or you have nothing in your profile, I'm sorry, I'm not going to add you on my LinkedIn. Right? So if that's the case, keep that in mind. All right. So if you guys want to add me on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. Again, just ping me on Slack, right? Anything you need, hit me up on Slack. I'm there. Again, I'll be answering questions as we go. Any questions you have, guys, we can try to get to you as much as I can. All right. Awesome, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved having to work with you guys. It's been great. Hopefully I'll see you guys on the other side. Maybe we'll work one day together. Maybe you'll work for me. Maybe I'll be working for you. Who knows? All right. Take care, guys. Good night. Best of luck. And take care. Bye-bye.